Our top story today, Persian Gardens, Heaven on Earth. I'm your host, Haley Gornflow. Our top reporters will be taking you through how these gardens are built, their cultural importance, and the types of plants that can be found in them. But first, I'll run through a brief explanation of what we'll be looking at. Persian gardens are directly linked to culture, literature, poetry, and various types of artwork such as textile design, painting, music, and architecture, as well as connected to philosophy and religion. Persian gardens have been influenced by the different empires that have ruled the area over time. In the ancient holy book of the Zoroastrians, they are meant to reflect the four elements of sky, earth, water, and plants, and replicate a piece of heaven. They use intricate irrigation systems as they are in a dry area without frequent rainfall. The word paradise comes from the old Iranian word for exceptional gardens, Payeti Daiza. Payeti means all around, thoroughly, and ultimate, but the meaning of Daiza has been lost through time. As a compound word, it comes to mean celestial garden. Payeti Daiza gardens are thought to be ideal places for spiritual rejuvenation. The pools of water are meant to be used for self-reflection and meditation, and nurturing and tending the gardens is considered to be a deeply religious act. And now we'll go to Abigail Wilson, who will tell us about the elements in a Persian garden.
The most important element of the garden is called a kiosk, which is built in the highest place in the garden. In fact, the kiosk has a very special place in the garden because it creates a memorable and lasting image in the minds of the visitors. Sunlight and its effects is important in the structural design. Textures and shapes were specifically chosen by architects to harness the light. Due to the dry heat of Iran, shade is also extremely important. Trees and trellises largely feature as biotic shade. Pavilions and walls are structurally prominent in blocking the sun. Water is very important in Persian gardens as well. A form of underground tunnel below the water table is called a cannet. It is used to irrigate the garden. Well-like structures connect the cannet, enabling the drawing of water. Trees are often planted in a ditch called a jub, which prevents water evaporation and allows the roots to access water quickly.
Thanks, Abigail. Next, we'll go to Catherine Parcells to get a closer look at the types of Persian gardens.
There are two types of gardens to discuss when thinking of Persian gardens. The first being a formal style garden, which is a chahar-bah. This means four gardens. The chahar-bah was the formal garden used for the Cyrus the Great at his palace during his reign in Persia at the time known as Pars. Gardens of the Taj Mahal in Agra, India are based on the chahar-bah design as well. The second being an informal garden style. This would be the ones found outside of people's homes. An example of this is the family bus found on the outskirts of major Iranian cities such as Tehran.
Thanks, Catherine. Now we'll hear from Dr. Carlos Garcia to give us an in-depth look at the varieties of gardens.
There are 5 styles of gardens. First, the Hayat is a public or private garden that emphasizes aesthetics rather than the function, including arches and pools. Planting is usually simple, such as the line of trees to provide shade. In private areas, we see the same theme, which is a pool-centered with heavy emphasis on structure. The Maidan is a public formal garden that has more emphasis on plants, which include trees, shrubs, grasses, and bedded plants. Structural elements function only to provide shade. The Chahar-Bah is private and formal. The basic structure has 4 quadrants that balance structure with plants. This is typically used by the rich to entertain. Parks are public and casual gardens, which has emphasis on plant life, like American parks. They usually include a place to relax and areas for seating. Last but not least is the Bah, is casual and private and serves as a similar purpose to the park. The primary function is familial relaxation.
Thanks, Carlos. Finally, we'll talk with Jacqueline Weir, who will give us the latest scoop on the types of plants in Persian gardens.
Plants typically found in Persian gardens include ones that will provide some aesthetic aspect as well as service such as food or medicine. Persian gardens are walled with a strong geometric layout, and they are typically planted with evergreens such as cypress and myrtle to give year-round structure to the garden. They are supplemented with fragrant and colorful plants including roses, geraniums, hollyhocks, and fruit trees. The fruit-bearing trees found in Persian gardens signify life, while the cypress trees found in these gardens signify death. Pomegranate trees can also be found in Persian gardens. They are mentioned in the Quran and the Bible. It's thought that the apple in the Garden of Eden was actually a pomegranate. Another plant found is myrtle, an evergreen shrub that has historically been used to treat a variety of ailments from digestive issues to infections and produces essential oils as well as berries. The ideal growth for myrtle is in Mediterranean climates because it can be grown in sun or partial shade and needs well-drained soil. In the Mediterranean, myrtle was symbolic of love and immortality and used extensively. Pasargadae was where the original Persian gardens start with Cyrus the Great. In this garden, there were fruit and cypress trees, various flowers such as roses, lilies, jasmines, and exotic grasses.
Thanks, Jacqueline. We hope you enjoyed our broadcast and now know a bit more about the culture surrounding Persian Gardens. Coming up next after the break, UD crime alerts. When will they ever end?